Hey, how's it going? Today we got a 1957 FD-11. That translates into an 18-horse Johnson. And I've had this one for almost a year. Well, a little over a year. I bought it July 31st last year. But never had a chance to get it out on the water until a couple weeks ago. I took it out and didn't get very far. It started clunking and banging down below, so I took it back up to shore, and that's as far as I took it. So today I had a little bit of time, and I pulled out the drain screw, and I found grease. I wish I could show you the rat turd that was coming out of there when I pulled it. It was just, it's packed with grease. Someone, the previous owner or whoever worked on it for them or somebody, they pumped it full of grease instead of gear lube. So I got all the, another thing, when I pulled the lower unit off, the water tube stayed in the pump housing. Normally you want that to stay up in the motor, up in the housing. And it was on upside down. On these there will be an angled cut. Let me grab a flashlight. There will be an angled cut. Every one I've ever taken apart, you see that? How that's cut on an angle? That is for when you go to put it back on. Being that's cut on an angle, that makes it easier to get it started into the pump housing, into the grommet. And so it was stuck in there pretty good. And that's why it came out on the lower unit when I pulled it, rather than staying up in here like this. So I got it back up where it goes. Maybe you can see it. This doesn't focus sometimes. There you go. But yeah, that's supposed to stay up in there, and this angle cut was flipped around the other way. So then another thing, I was poking around. I had it in my handy dandy fixture that I made. And I was looking down inside there just to see if it was what it looked, how it looked. And right there in between the pump housing and the shift shaft, laying on top of the bushing, I found a random screw laying there. That's not supposed to be in there. What I think is somebody replaced the pump housing, and because this pump housing looks really nice. It doesn't look as old as the motor. I think someone replaced that, because all three of these fasteners match. So I think when they took the old one off, for whatever reason they replaced it. I'm just guessing at all this, but they dropped one of the screws down in there. Well, being that it's right next to the shift shaft, it could hinder the operation of the shift shaft if it got the head stuck in there just right. So I got that out. These are just some of the surprises you find when you start tearing into these. Oh, also there was no O-ring. I suppose it either disintegrated or the last guy didn't know that there was supposed to be one on there and he didn't put it on. But I've got those. I've got spares. I got 5 prop seals. I've got O-rings for various motors. Anyways, you push that down. I always put some grease on it so it goes down over this easier. And then it sits right there, right in that detent. But I just thought I'd show you what I'm working on. Actually, it's about 11 o'clock at night. But, okay, well, I got it right here. I might as well show you. You take off this little door or window, And I always like to put it in forward gear because that gets that fastener up. If you have it in neutral or even in reverse, it's worse, but neutral is hard enough. But if you put it in forward gear, you take that out, and that fastener lands right off the side of that. Then you take out the 4 bolts in the lower unit housing, and it's separate there. And then you've got a big 9/16 hex bolt that goes here. You take that one out, and all that stuff right there. And then to get the skeg off, you've got 6 fasteners on this side. 3 and 3. But I want to tap that off of there, but I got to try to do it while holding on to the phone. And I want to locate my rubber hammer. I think where I used it last, other than in here. Okay, well, let's try this. See if it's coming. Yeah, it's lifting on. There we go. I just want to show you what's going to be in there. Bunch of grease that does not belong in there. Wow. No wonder it couldn't shift, right? Look at that mess. The clutch dog cradle trying to move in back and through all that crap. The old motors that didn't have that didn't shift, they used to use grease in those, but it didn't have the clutch dog cradle and the clutch dog that had to move back and forth in there. And that viscosity on grease is just way too thick. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm not going to bore you with that, I'm going to dig into that greasy, grimy mess and get that all cleaned up. Because I can't even tell if the clutch dog is shot, if the cradle's shot, or if it's even in there. I don't know. What a mess. Yeah. Somebody didn't know what was happening. Either that or they were trying to cover up for a really bad leaky some seals. That spaghetti seal doesn't look very old. Somebody, I think, was in here recently. They just didn't quite know what to do. Alright. I'll let you know how it all works out, and maybe I'll make a video when I get it all cleaned up so we can see what all that looks like for you. Alright, thanks for watching.